In an era of disruption, how does a small but nimble firm design resilient growth while staying true to core values? Hello and welcome to the Boostara Podcast. I am your host, James. On the Boostara Podcast, we speak to leaders in business and uncover the truths and insights from their amazing experiences. At Boostara, we help businesses boost growth, cut costs, and gain better business insights. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you, type the word growth into the comments below and I will be sure to reach out. Today, we joked that it's third time lucky with all of the illnesses and disruptions that happen at this time of year. I'm very happy to say we're joined by Valerie Del Forge, founder and CEO of the Del Forge Group. Hello, Valerie.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, James, for having me. It's a pleasure to be talking to you finally. I know it's been a long time coming, but we're managing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's this time of year when
I
we're getting to the
know.
depths of winter. You can tell by my
Yeah.
background if we're the depths of summer when we get round to it. But no, fantastic having you on, Valerie. Where are you calling us from today?
So I'm based in London, but I do a lot of travels on an international level. I work a lot in Ireland, France, and then after that, it just depends where my client takes me. But obviously, a lot on Zoom. We do a lot of Zoom kind of calls and coaching, but every now and then, there's projects or needing to visit the premises and see what's going on. So on an operational level, so yeah, it's quite varied.
Yeah, no, amazing. And that's the thing with technology, and we'll get into it
Yeah,
towards the latter half of
yeah,
this podcast. Doesn't need to confine us to a particular area. We can
exactly.
operate wherever we want to or wherever we are needed, right?
Exactly.
But I guess for those of our listeners that are not familiar with yourself, with the Del Forge Group, could you just give us a bit of an introduction, a run through as to your journey to where you are today, Valerie?
For sure. So, as you can hear, I am French. I've been in the UK for over 30 years. Although a lot of people are telling me there is an accent, but not too sure where from. It's not the typical French accent, I
Do
guess.
you know
But
what? I was thinking that. I knew from doing my background work on you that you're
yeah,
from France, but you cannot
yeah.
tell that very clearly.
No. There's an accent. It's like, where is she from? Is it German? Is it Polish? Not too sure. So yes, I've been in England for over 30 years. So I've kind of never worked in France. I did my 2 years after my A level of commercial studies, including English, and I had an address of an Airbnb. No, it wasn't an Airbnb at the time. Forget that. It was a bed and breakfast. There was no Google at the time, which is obviously when I say that to my daughters, it's like, oh my God, you're like a dinosaur. Um, you know, there was no Google, so I just had enough money for a month and decided to kind of venture to the UK at the time, learn English. The UK wasn't the same as what it is now, for sure.
Mm.
And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I found a job in a restaurant, went traveling, came back, and I thought, I'm probably the only French girl who can't cook. I cannot, this cannot be my career. And kind of started randomly in an agency to kind of work behind the counters in Dior, for Guerlain, for all the kind of big brands in Harrods and Selfridges. I loved it. And sent my CVs everywhere. Started my journey with Clinique, which is a skincare brand that is owned by Estée Lauder. So very based on the sales. So every work I've ever done, I feel like I've learned something that has defined what I'm doing now. So I worked with them for a couple of years. I then worked for Clarence as an area manager. So I started managing very large teams very quickly in my career. So leadership was always kind of part of what I loved and what I learned, basically. So Clarence gave me a lot to do with the time management, which is a soft skill of leadership, the organization. I joined L'Occitane, which again was large teams and project on the spa. I worked with Urban Retreat, which was at the time in Harrods. So we launched You Are Beautiful in Kingston, which was a new venture. So that was an experience in the first floor of Boots, for sure. That was a big experience with a very, very different team. and then joined Blispa in Sloane Square, again 50 staff members, very based on the numbers, and became head of spa operation for Steiner UK with 8 spas to look after. And that was 12 years, well, it was 14 years ago. And after about a couple of years, I was getting a lot of people asking me for help. And I just thought, oh, I quite like doing this. And then started my own venture 12 years ago as a business coach. But I call myself a high level coach because I think the thing is, and I'm sure you're seeing that, James, a lot, everyone's kind of becoming some kind of coach, or there's a lot of noise out there. And I think coaching for me is very important. I've always had coaches. I've always had someone I looked up to, or needed to offload to, or needed to get my head space and my thought process in order. So I love coaching. I believe in that wholeheartedly. But I also know that you've got to find the right connection. So what worked 12 years ago is not necessarily working, or it has to work differently now. And
Mm.
now it's a lot more about emotions, a lot more about the leader, a lot more about cutting out the noise, rather than before we were talking about we do business audit, we do this, we do that. Now it's so much more about the leader themselves. Um, for sure, since the pandemic, we've seen a change in the language that we're using to get that right. And so yeah, built a little team around me that helped me to move forward in my vision. And yes, I just love what I do. I love kind of, I guess I guess you get a bit of a reputation after a while, and I guess I deal with a lot of owners that are on that brink of burnt out mode, and they
Right.
don't quite know what to do anymore. And they either have a very successful business, or they really are struggling. So it's kind of extremes at the moment, but it's
Right.
definitely the mindset of like, please just help me, you know, or I'm ready to put the keys under the doors, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we're there at the moment.
Amazing. I think that the fascinating thing that I want to kind of dig into with yourself, Valerie, is the way that you approach coaching, and for the Del Forge group. Is it like spa and beauty? Is it burnout? Is it leadership? Or is it a mixture of everything? Like who is the kind of ideal business or person that should approach you?
I
That's
mean,
great.
ultimately, I mean, we haven't kind of advertised it, but I've worked with, an accountant, with electrician, with someone who had coffee shops. Um, like ultimately, if you're serving a client and there is an element of customer journey and there's an element of you as a CEO, it could be a CEO of a company, it could be someone that's created something, and they're growing so rapidly that they have no idea how to handle the change. It can be anyone on the level of CEOs and owners that feel that they need someone to support them and guide them. Um, I think business coaching has been thrown out so much that we don't quite know what it is. I believe there's no off the shelf coaching. Everyone is different. Everyone
Mm,
has a different budget, a different mindset, a different aspiration. And the aspiration needs to feel alive for what you're going through. And it
right.
could be that you're going through a really difficult patch on a personal level. It's never linear. It's never one side is business, the other side is work. Is personal.
Right.
It's always intertwined, and it's always that mindset. So I've coached owners that were going through a hell of a lot, either at home or themselves going through some kind of illness or whatever. How do you manage that? How do you manage the business that still needs to grow
Yeah.
on a long term basis? So it's for me, it's anyone who's really in that search of that. I was called. Someone said to me, "Oh, I don't want to call you business coach." I said, "What do you want me to call me?" She said, "Oh, you're like a business shadow, or you're like a CEO that helps me on a day." Well, just call me what you want. I don't mind, as long as you feel that the results that you're getting from that coaching is really impactful
Yeah.
on how you're feeling as a CEO.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Business shadow, you said there. Yeah.
Yeah, business
Very interesting.
shadow. I was called, business shadow, kind of I guess a silent partner, but without the financial element to it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
just someone that can really have a different perspective, because a lot of owners, once they are in their business and they build their business for passion and love and everything else, they don't see potentially things that could work better or could function better. And because of my last role being head of spa operation, for me, it's all about operations, how we structure ourselves, how we put our time efficiently into the growth of the business. But a lot of time we're dealing with stuff we shouldn't even be dealing with, but we're scared to delegate, or we don't have anyone to delegate to, or the person we're delegating to is a wrong person as such, because that's not our ability or his ability. So
Mm.
it's very, very varied. And that's why I like to really get to know the owner or the CEO, really understand how they function, and then how and what they want. The
Mm.
vision becomes very blurry. The
Mm.
vision becomes very blurry because we're stuck in the operational. Because I
Yeah.
worked with someone recently who had such a huge success that he was unable to kind of work out what's the next step.
Mm.
And you kind of, the growth was so rapid. And it's funny because you're thinking, when you are kind of building a business, or you are in a process of growing the business, you kind of want to get to your vision, and it's hard work, and there's a lot of noise out there. So you have to be more competitive, more this, more that. But actually, the stress also becomes potentially even more when you reach a certain success,
Mm.
because you're scared that there's anxiety that comes up without even you realizing it. You're
Mm.
scared that it's all going to fall down from one day to the next. You're scared that what can I do with that? That growth. How can that work? You're scared of being let down by people, and you're just putting stuff in your head that's not even that shouldn't even be there. But there's
Mm.
this anxiety that can be even stronger once you've achieved the goal.
Mm.
Or it can also be a little bit of complacency, because I've achieved something, so I'm okay, and there's more complacency going on. So it's interesting. It's kind of, a lot of it is, I guess, psychological in some ways.
Mm.
How do we handle growth? How do we handle success? How do we handle failure? Is the same.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of business owners actually, they set out, as you said towards the beginning there, this is their passion, this is their dream. But they actually set off without really knowing what they wanted to do with the business as like an end result, right?
Yeah,
Like, do I
yeah,
want to get this to a valuation to sell? To what
yeah,
level am I
yeah.
taking this? Like, they actually don't
Mm.
kind of set off with the end in mind, that whole habit. Ugh.
1,000,000% for sure. And I think also being aware that there's certain directions that are going to come throughout the life of the entrepreneurship, that
Mm.
suddenly, well, we talk about AI, or we talk about certain things you hadn't envisaged, and suddenly it's taking you to a slightly different path. So you can feel a little bit lost in that success,
Mm.
or in that failure. So I guess it's when we start a business, we're so emotionally involved with that business.
Yeah.
So it's that passion, isn't it? It's to kind of like, yes, I'm going to really make this a success. But what success? What does that mean? How do you work with that success? And does it all have to rely on you? Which is a big thing. So that's why I really focus on the structure of who does what, when, how. Who does what, when, how. What is going to help you not feeling overwhelmed on a day-to-day basis? What is
Mm.
going to help you to feel that you can grow the business without being in the middle of it? And I say this again and again, and I know my team is a little bit fed up of me saying it, but it's so true. If a system relies on one person, it's not a system. It
Mm.
means that it's reliant on you, or maybe I've seen owners offloading so much to their managers that the manager is themselves quite overwhelmed. So to me, that's not a system,
Yeah.
because we should feel that the business is running smoothly. But, to go back to your point of the beginning of that journey, I think you know what you want, but you don't quite visualize it. Funnily enough, vision is one of the hardest thing to do with the owner.
Mm.
Like, it's so hard to get that vision super mega clear.
Mm.
A lot of time it's like, I want everyone to be, see me as a reference as in the area. I want them to feel that, okay, fine, it is a vision, but is it really a vision that's talking to you in the morning? I feel like, yes. I want
Right.
to have my weekends off. I want to have a team that believes in what I do. I want to, what is it that you truly want? It can become very blurry very quickly,
Mm.
I think.
Interesting.
Mm.
Well, what would you say are the common sort of misconceptions that clients have, partners have, the first time that they engage with yourself and your services? What's the
I
maybe
think that,
the
yeah,
ways that they feel like their journey is going to end up or going to take?
I think the main thing when you start coaching, any coaching, whether it's with me or someone else, it doesn't matter. Any coaching is you have to be wholeheartedly in it. It
Right.
means that you really need to be all in. You have to feel that, yes, I'm ready for change. And if you're ready for change, that means you're ready to hear a different, potential different opinion. You're ready, like I always say, if it's not broken, we're not going to we're not going to change. It's not all changing suddenly everything, but
Yeah.
we're reviewing things and change it for the better. So it suits
Mm.
the owner better. It suits the business better. So they need to be ready for change. They need to be all in. So really kind of creating what they want. But the misconception a lot of time is how fast the coaching is going to take, if that makes sense, how
Mm.
it's going to depend on them. You
Mm.
know, all we can do as coaches is guide them to what we agree on, to what we see. And I think that is they need to be very aware that it can take a while to change operational business, to change things on the mindset point of view. And
Right.
they underestimate. One of my last clients that I took on said to me, I didn't realize it wasn't going to be about the issue I came to you about. And that's quite, because it's always more than that. When you look at one issue they have, it's always what is the goal behind the goal? What is behind that issue that we need to really dig down? Because if there's that issue, one solution will have a knock-on effect on the whole operation. So we actually need to dig down further. So a lot of people underestimate the amount of work they need to do on themselves first and being able to really process things differently, look at their time management efficiently. You can read all the books, you can read this wonderful books on time management, but until you really do it and you apply it, what's very difficult, James, basically, is to keep habits and keep habits healthy and keep
Yeah.
habits that suit you. Very difficult. Because also if you have children, if you've got a life on it, it's very difficult. So
Mm.
changing the habit, being flexible, being understanding what habits suits you, what habits don't suit you, and really focusing on that time management. I think they underestimate that bit.
Mm. Basically,
That bit of
the
of
the
of
action and
grounding.
consistency, right? It's like you said,
Actually,
you can guide people in the right direction. This is what you need to be doing. This is where you need to go. But it relies on them taking the action and the consistent
and the
action to actually
consistent
get
action.
there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And for example, time management is one of the hardest skills to do. Like it's very,
Mm.
very difficult to keep on top of time management. And a lot of it is because going back into bad habits, I call them, or habits that it's a lot easier, it's a lot more comfortable. So we stay in our comfort zone. But
Mm.
having a habit on, okay, every Monday I'm going to do the numbers, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to block time, I'm going to really manage my diary to suits me better. It actually starts with that. And it starts with the mindset around it and being able to, I feel nowadays, Instagram life and everything else, we feel that if we take a process, it's going to be ta-da,
Yeah.
everything's going to be happening, and I'm going to have the Instagram life that I want and I dream of. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter how you look at it. It just doesn't work that way. And a lot of it is, I call it smoking mirror, because you might have that impression, but it's not necessarily. So what matters is you and your lane, and what is your lane going to be in order
Yeah.
for you to feel grounded. So when you do see an Instagram post or you see someone doing better, you welcome that. Brilliant, good for them. but I'm on my lane and I'm sure and I'm secure on my lane. A lot
Mm,
of time coaching allows people to feel grounded,
mm,
calm, and far more resilient into what they want to create.
mm,
Mm.
amazing. And could you share a kind of like a case study or a success story, of a client that you've worked with? You've been through this kind of process with. Obviously, like names, I'm not sure how much
No,
you can
I mean,
explain in
yes.
terms of
Funny
people.
enough, a lot of our members don't really want to show that they're working with a coach because
Yeah.
it's kind of a private thing, and I'll do whatever I do as much as what they wanted to us to do. I mean, I can think of a client who came to me really, really burnt out and just completely overwhelmed with the amount of work and I can think of about 5 of them on that level. Um, and, just keep adding on to their to-do list and felt so overwhelmed with every solution was a barrier, basically. Every solution was just completely a no-go. Financially was okay, but wasn't necessarily shiny. And we really worked, and I've been working with her for about 6 years now. And we've really worked on her habits, her mindset. We've now doubled the numbers that she's doing. We've looked at all of the costs and everything else that she can occur. She's accountable with me of what she's spending and why she's spending it. And we don't just launch something. We understand there's a strategy around it. So we do strategy year on year.
No.
And yeah, she's not working in the business anymore. She's not a part of the business. She's literally the business development manager, owner that's actually growing. I think a lot of owners, they tend to do more marketing strategy for the business than being in there trying to deliver everything for the client.
Mm,
And I think, yeah, I love talking to her because you end up being part of the journey and part of the business, and
yeah.
that to me is brilliant. I love that. I
Yeah.
feel that you can get a lot of coaching out there. You can get a lot of stuff online. There's everything available. What's really important with a coach is that you have that connection. And
Mm,
for me, being involved on that level where I feel like I've supported her on decision making and just things that nibbling at her every step of the way, I feel I can see her growth, and I just love that.
that's amazing. And going back what you said at the beginning there, in terms of people sharing that they have a coach or that they've had someone help
Mm.
go through this kind of journey. I think, yeah, wouldn't it be so much better if people felt much more comfortable in sharing that and
Yeah, for
I
sure.
kind of feel like sometimes it's a CEO or an
Yeah,
owner, the mindset kind of face. I don't
yeah,
want to show like any kind of weakness, but the
yeah.
reality is, I think no matter what leadership position or experience level you're at, you haven't seen it all, and
No, no,
you've
and
still
and
got
and
someone to
and
learn from, right?
exactly, exactly. And I think but I understand sometimes it's more of like I can think of one client where it's a little bit more of um it's her thing, and if she tells team, she tells the thing she needs to work on her first. She
Yeah.
tells everyone else, it feels like it's too much. She needs to have her own headspace in the right place, and
Mm,
every books that she's done, every webinars that she's attended wasn't enough to change that headspace.
mm,
So, so I get it. I get that sometimes you just want to keep it for yourself whilst you're doing that work, and whilst
mm,
you're kind of trying to really balance your work, basically balance your work life balance and everything else, and that's okay. I respect any decision that any owner wants to do in terms of how they position me in the business in some
yeah.
respect. And sometimes when you say, I've got a coach, oh, here we go, here's another one who's going to change things, and change needs to be handled differently in every step of the way, strategically. Otherwise, it just disturbs everyone too much. So we do need to be careful. Change management is a big thing.
Uh,
So in a company, and even more in a small company, because it
yeah.
goes very quickly, and it depends on what you want as well. I've got someone who's trying to sell at the moment. She doesn't want to know that she's being coached, because same on the kind of, it's all well and good. I've had enough. I can't bear this anymore. I don't want to recruit, which is a big conversation at the moment. I've had enough of recruitment. Um, you know, you still need to handle that closure of that business efficiently.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, um, you will not live it very well, if that makes sense. So you've got to do some groundwork on what happens when the business is closing. What happens because we've put so much effort into it.
Yeah.
How do you do it? How do you overcome that element? So yeah, it's sometimes it's more, they need to go through their process, and someone who's so deep into that headspace, they need one step at a time
Uh,
kind of strategy around them, you know?
yeah.
And I think that's quite important.
Where do you think AI comes into play in coaching?
Um,
It's a
I,
very broad question, but
yeah.
for the last, the
I
last
mean,
year in particular, we're seeing a
yeah,
lot more of these AI coaches. It's much more accessible
yeah.
people to almost use ChatGPT in the same way
Of
that they
course,
might
yeah.
use a coach. I mean, how are you seeing it play out within the coaching space?
I think AI, like anything, i- i- it has its place, and it will continue to have a bigger place, because every month there's something new that's going on, that is going to facilitate the owner. And I think that's amazing. If you can facilitate the operation where you press a button, you ask AI, and everything is done, amazing. If
Yeah.
you can facilitate, I've got a client who has, this AI bolt where the reports are being sent to the staff, and you can do all sorts of things with reception. Amazing. I mean, if that's going to save that time, I think it's incredible.
No.
But I think it's like anything, just bringing the business into the AI world is important, because everyone else is going to do it, and you get this fear factor. Oh my God, there's not going to be any more Google. I need to make sure that, ChatGPT likes me, because I'm always a little bit like, "What? Can we calm down a minute? Can we just calm down a minute?" Because again, there's a lot of fear factors. Can we just go back to what you know and what you can handle as a
Yeah.
business, in particular a small business, part of the community? It's very, very important. And I think with coaching, there's still that element of the mindset around how you feel, what you want to handle, where you want to go as a business. And if you don't have that headspace, and you could have all the system in the world helping you, if the headspace is not there, yeah, a robot can help you, but that genuine human connection, where they're seeing the overall picture on a personal and professional space, and where to go, and where is that vision going, and that growth. ChatGPT or any AI movement will be able to do that to a certain extent, but we are still craving that human connection.
Mm.
And I think that's very, very important, the thought process, the headspace. I mean, ChatGPT started to talk to me in French English at the moment. It's like, what is going on? So, so I guess it's mimicking my headspace. Sometimes it's all French English coming at once, but you still need that human connection. You still need that human approach. You still need, um, you know, i- it's all well and good to have all the strategies, all the procedures, all the stuff. You still need to implement it. You still need to learn how to dedicate your time. You still need to, all the tools are not going to have the human connection that you're seeking as a owner.
Mm. And the thing is, there's so many tools out there. I
Yeah.
think I heard over 40,000 AI tools on the market, and
I
I
mean,
think it
that's,
goes back to what you said at the beginning about noise, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a noise.
the AI is noise. You go on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, and it's everywhere, right? So how do you,
Yeah.
as a business leader, not get distracted and not get into that that sort of FOMO
Yeah,
mindset of, "Oh,
yeah,
everyone else is doing it, so I need to do it." Or you rather
yeah,
actually, no, you are doing your business. What does your business need right now? It may or
yes.
may need some AI
Mm,
technology, tools, strategies. We were literally just talking with a travel company this morning, and it was interesting talking about AI in terms of the
mm.
travel operations, because the furthest we really dug into it was in terms of the on the ground actually delivering the tour where AI can play a part. It's with translating apps.
Mm,
The tour guide
nice.
speaking at a museum, they might be speaking in French, and then it's going to translate into
Yeah,
Chinese
yeah, yeah.
or whatever, right? But opening up the door to the potential of bringing in tourists from all over the world. You're not just
Yeah,
subject the ability, the language level of your
of
particular
a yeah.
tour guide, right? But every industry, every business is going to be very, very different in terms of what their needs are and what technology can actually move the needle for the business. Because that's
Yeah,
the whole point. It's what
that's
moves the
exactly
needle,
that.
not just bringing in something that's going to be, oh, this is fancy, everyone else is using. Well, does it actually change anything?
Yeah,
Does it
yeah,
make
yeah,
people
does it actually make
really
things
things
better
up?
for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's making things better for you as a owner, for the business, for the team, if you've got a team. It's understanding the place it's gonna have within the
Mm,
business and stop. It's a comparison, isn't it? That's a killer. "Oh, I should be doing that. I didn't do that." Well, recently in the UK, it was the whole budget. I think everyone wasn't breathing in the whole month of November because of the budget. It was just like, "Can we calm down?" Literally, it's all I'm saying. Can we calm down? Because life's still going to carry on. You know,
yeah.
we're not going to be totally replaced. We just need to be part of an evolution that is inevitable, that is there. But you know, I still remember my first time when someone told me, "Oh, we've got this thing called Facebook. We need to put photos on it." I was like, "Oh, what is that about?" Another thing, you know. And Facebook became huge, and you had to kind of adapt to putting photos on Facebook, and you know, and utilizing the tool. And that's the thing. That's what AI is going to do, multiply by definitely 10 and 50 for the ability that it has,
Mm,
absolutely. And sometimes you're thinking, oh, what is it going to do to some jobs? For sure, that you can see some redundancies been happening a lot lately, and you know, there's definitely an element of growth. But I believe as humans we are resilient and we can move with the time.
mm,
And as a business owner, is what values do you have within your business? Because when I was told I'm not going to have a receptionist, fine, because AI is going to do everything, but how is that affecting your customer journey? Because there's still, as a customer, that element of, you know, funds. Can't remember what it was the other day. Fund company. I was just frustrated, you know, by not by you could see was a very generic robotic answer to my questions, and you
mm,
still need that human connection that's going to tell, right, let's share screen, let's do this, you know, and I'm perfect. In 5 minutes it was resolved. But
mm,
so I think it's going to have a place, but it is not panicking and taking every step. Firstly, get the operation set the way you want to set it. Is that working for you, or are you working 7 days a week and you don't have catch a breath, or when you're off, you're not really off? And
mm,
then once we've got that sorted, then what system is going to help you to facilitate what you need to have as a owner? If that makes sense.
interesting. I'll kind of push. Yeah, I'll ask this question. So I tend to ask everyone that comes on the same question. So putting your own kind of like business hat on, because it's very interesting for you in your position in what is a very, I'd say, human centered, relationship driven business
Mhm. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, it is.
operations. You know, if you could get AI to take one part of your, you know, your business day to day functions, and it's just like, you know, off your hands, you don't have to deal with it anymore. What would have the biggest impact, you know, on yourself and the Del Forge group?
I think for a lot of owners, the marketing. the marketing
Mm.
is a pain in everyone's life in some ways or another, because you know you've got to do it, but it becomes very confusing. So if I could be, look, we've invested in different digital marketers in different ways. Everyone tells you something slightly different. Everyone's got the better system than the other. This one didn't do that. That's why you didn't get that. We got so fed up of it this year. Yeah, it was just like, do you know what? We're going to learn it ourselves. And we ended up, not myself necessarily, but Amy, who works with me, she's literally been on one course after another to just, and that's why I say to my clients, learn it yourself. Understand first what
Yeah.
is it that you want. Because if you know what you want, you can delegate it. If you trust an expert to do it, it's all well and good, but you need to have some, I invested in someone I thought was going to be brilliant. I couldn't wait. And it was such a basic report. It was a little bit like, oh, well, okay, what did that teach me?
Yeah.
What did that teach me? That taught me that I knew more than I thought I did. And a lot of owners knew more than they think they do in their
Yeah.
business because they built it in the first place. And secondly, it's a little bit of, you know, yeah, just kind of trusting your instinct, trusting your guts. Again, it's a human emotion.
Mm.
And also, if I could have an AI system that tells me, do the marketing that way.
Yeah.
Once upon a time when I worked in the big kind of corporate world, we had a marketing director that knew everything. But I
Mm.
think now it's impossible. There's experts in every field. So marketing becomes just a big jungle of stuff. So yeah, I think a lot of people I talk to is marketing.
Yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
and I think that's probably where there's the biggest noise at the moment and shift in
Yeah,
terms of generational shifts, right? So
yeah,
you talk
yeah.
about Facebook. Facebook is something for the older generations, and it's
It's
oh, you
gone,
can do TikTok
exactly.
now. You
What do
go,
you mean
what? I don't even
Facebook?
have a TikTok account. Like, but that's
Yeah.
just the kids in the 20s are growing up. They're taking over, they're
Yeah.
becoming business owners. They're not active. They're active on different social media
Also
platforms. And,
also Facebook at one point, I don't the pandemic I felt was literally on Facebook was just one advert after another because they must have
mm,
sold so many adverts, to all the business owners. That's all you could see, just adverts of
yeah,
stuff going on. So you do become disconnected as a owner when it's just a little bit too much.
yeah.
So, we talk about ideal clients, we talk about, but I think ultimately is I like what in the coaching world is I like what he's saying, I like what she's saying, I want to
Mhm.
know more. And I
Mm,
think that that's the connection that you want from the coach is that you
yeah,
you are really connected with what they're saying to you or what
yeah,
they're saying, their ethos, their values, how they function. And that helps you to be like, yes, I know I can do a good job with her. And
mm,
once you know that, then you're halfway there. You're
yeah,
ready for change in some ways. And as I said, this doesn't have to be drastic change, but it might be a few bits there and there that helps you reconnect with the business in a better
yeah,
way.
and that's where a chatbot, or an avatar can't really,
Can't do that.
do that job because it's you've got to buy into that person, and that buying into the person is gonna be the thing that is going to push you exactly
Mm,
what we said before in taking action and doing it consistently,
mm.
right? Because you can if you just
Completely.
buy into someone for the sake, "Oh, I have to have a coach. I've been told I have to have
Yeah,
a coach.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I'll go with that one." It'd
yeah, yeah,
likely
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
invested. If you're invested with that coach, if you bought into who they are and as you said, their values, the way that they speak, then it's more likely that you're actually going to do what they say
Yes, for
and
sure,
make
for sure.
those changes and make that
And
that
feel
difference.
that the support is there and feel that the support is for me is very important that, whatever however I work and my work with my clients is never set,
Mm,
because it does depend on where they are, at this stage, and where do they want to be and dissecting all of that. But being able to offload and truly talk because it's quite lonely at the top, regardless, you know, with ChatGPT, I've created my whole office. I've got all
mm,
my chats, and there's one that's doing this, one that's doing that. It's great, but it's still not. giving me what I truly want as an owner, which is
Yeah.
that flexibility, that empowerment. It's great to offload thought process, but it doesn't work on the ground base of your human emotions and
Mm,
your human your human ability of doing things at the time. So,
yeah.
when I say a lot of clients are on the burnout mode, some clients are, I'm burnt out. No, you're not. You're just overwhelmed. There's too much going on. We need to sort out
Yeah.
the operation. But some clients you can see you do that and they're just going to be very much on the burnout. So it's important to assess that quickly and to be able to give you the tools to support that headspace.
Mm,
And being able to pick up the phone and say, "I'm struggling with this," is as important as typing it on ChatGPT. Is more important as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
Um, I think, like anything, like every time we have to get used to a newness that's going to be part of our role, our life. There's certain films you look at and you're thinking, wow, that could become true, in the future.
Yeah.
But we have to cut out the noise, stay in our lane, be focused on what you truly want, and stop that panic that ultimately gets you nowhere.
Mm, very nicely said. Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, going forwards, Valerie, what's in the pipeline? What's coming up?
So we're getting a new website coming next year, and actually more on the emphasis of the whole human connection, I guess, and more on the emphasis of us being delivering supportive coaching for every client. And it depends on your needs or whatever. We've got a couple of projects that are quite exciting with some clients where we are very much shadowing them, into building what they truly want to build. So slightly different than coaching. We're talking about projects and bringing them to fruition. And I'm quite excited with that. And we also have potentially, eventually my book on audio because I'm told AI can do that for me. So that could be quite easy. Still searching that, and then translating it in French would be good. Yeah, I think for me next year is carrying on that headspace of welcoming AI. What can it do? How it can be supportive in the businesses that I'm coaching and in my business, and creating a bit more. I'm very grounded, and that's what I like, that grounding energy that allows the owner to feel, yeah, I'm good. I'm good, and I'm enjoying my work life balance, and I'm enjoying my kind of my fruition. Really, really enjoying the fruit of their labor.
Brilliant. I mean, you've mentioned it a few times through this, but who is a kind of ideal partner client to reach out to you?
I mean, anyone. We work with single operators that have a dream to, teams of 5, teams of 2, teams of 20, multi-sites. As I said, it's not just the spa and hair and beauty industry anymore. It's kind of moved on to that. Anyone who feels that they are new projects is also quite a good one. Anyone who really feels that they need to cut out the noise and for whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to really offset the trajectory on a much more grounded way, then
Mm,
get in touch.
brilliant, brilliant. And what are the best contact details to get you on?
So LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, or I'm going to obviously Valerie at valeriedelforge.com. Or you can email us on Instagram, on the website. There's all sorts. There's contact form. There's a phone number there. There's just send us a
Great.
message and we'll get in touch.
I will put all those contact details
Thank you
below.
so much.
And yeah, I would highly encourage anyone listening. And I guess Valerie, it doesn't matter where you're located. You could be in London,
No,
you could be elsewhere in the
anywhere.
UK, you could
Yeah,
be worldwide.
exactly.
Yeah,
Anywhere.
the
Anyway,
way.
it's the beauty of it. It's
Yeah,
It's the beauty of it. And I think that for me, the ideal client is someone that, like we say on the ideal client, is someone that's ready for 2026 to become, or any year to become more of their of a stable year, and not being fearful, but
Mm.
fearless.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, and I would highly encourage,
Thank you.
anyone who's taken an interest, or listening to this podcast, do get in touch with you,
Brilliant.
Valerie. And
Thank you.
as a recap, I think of this podcast, a few sort of standouts for me. I think it keeps on popping into my head, but what you said there about the CEO shadow,
Mm.
I find really,
Shadows,
uh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just imagining, I just put the picture in my head of someone just stood there, just
Yeah.
what, right? Watching from the shadows. But,
Yeah, yeah.
when we're looking at coaching, yes, there's those misconceptions about how long the process, is going to take, how long the coaching needs to take. But if you've got that connection with someone, you found a coach
Mm,
that you're really connected to, you're
mm,
probably more likely to take action. You're probably more likely to be consistent. You're probably more likely, as you said, to stay in your lane and get to that place that
mm.
that you need to be. Um,
And I have
remembering what
clients.
the true value of a coach is. I think that's
Yes.
one
Yeah.
big standout for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I've got clients who work with me for 2 hours. That's all they need to just recenter. Or I've got clients and they do a discovery session and that's it. And that's thank you very much. I'll come back if I need more. I've got clients, it's a 3 months, 6 months. I've got clients that I've worked with for 7 years.
wow.
So, and I'm still working with them for 7 years. So for me, when I started coaching, was very important is it needs to fit you and it
Yeah,
needs to suit you. If it
yeah,
starts being a chore where you're like, oh, I need to, then that's not right. And if you start
uh,
to get to a stage where actually we've done so much work, thank you, I'm just going to offer, go, great, I've done my job. So as
yeah.
long as it's fitting around you, that's very, very, very important. You need to feel that, yeah, I've invested in something that I know has given me that much.
Yeah, yeah, and you're investing in the coach to get you onto that next part and give you that clarity of
That's it.
of where you're going next, whether it's like you
Exactly.
said at the beginning, I've had so much growth and I've no idea what I'm doing next or where
Yeah.
I'm going. That's
Yeah.
perhaps where you need a coach, or it might be that you're stuck. It might be that you've got
Yeah.
issues with your team. It could be
Um,
any aspect of your business or even your personal life
mm,
that's just kind of
yeah. Yeah. A
making things,
lot. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. A
complicated.
lot of that at the moment on the personal, how do you handle the heaviness of some of the personal situation
Mhm.
into still being that owner of a business? It's very hard to juggle, the difficulty and the mindset around that. ChatGPT can't give you that.
Yeah, yeah. No, brilliant, brilliant last words, Valerie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Brilliant. And listeners, thank you very much for listening. Please like and share this video so we can get this message out to as many people as possible. Thank you very much.